So let's get started with our Chitta Yoga practice where we will focus on unslouching the shoulders. And as you can see behind me, it's a really nice snowy day here in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania area. It's the perfect ambiance to actually get into a therapeutic kind of more inward reflective practice. And that's what Chitta Yoga is all about. For those that may not have done a practice with me before, I use the word chitta to describe the yoga that I share. And it's spelled Chitta. It's a Sanskrit word that means the mind, or sometimes also it's described as the heart mind. And I like to use it as an acronym as well to describe my style of yoga that I share. And so it stands for conscious, healing, intentional, therapeutic, transforming, and accessible. And it's actually right now is a perfect example of how Chitta Yoga is accessible, or so much of yoga in general is accessible to people because I have a toe injury. And so certainly there's certain types of yoga that I cannot do right now, but there's so many other types that I can do. So it's the perfect example of how we don't have to stop our yoga practices when we do experience some sort of challenge or injury. We just need to adapt our practice to our bodies. And that's the way I like to share my yoga is finding ways to adapt the practice to the body, regardless of what's going on in the body any given day. So I digress a little, but let's get back to today's practice, which, as I said, is about unslouching the shoulders. And what we're going to use today are some props to set ourselves up in a therapeutic pose. And so what I have here are 3 towels. Now you could use towels, you could use blankets. If you have a small bolster, you could also use a small bolster. So I'm going to show you with the towels because I think that's probably the most common thing for everyone. And I keep forgetting that I can't put pressure on that toe, but we'll just adjust. So if you take your towels, I'm going to take 2 towels and I'm going to have them folded in half, and I'm going to lay them one on top of the other. And then I'm going to go to the folded ends and start rolling them tightly. And this basically creates a kind of like a makeshift bolster. So you want to get it nice and tight roll here with the towels. And then have that seam side or that open side downward. Okay, so that's going to be our bolster. So again, if you have a small bolster, you could just go ahead and use that. And then the third towel, it will be a support for my neck and head. And that one, we're not going to need to roll as much. And you could even use a hand towel rather than a full towel if you want. And for now, I'm just going to place that kind of right almost at the middle there with that little bit of a roll, just to have that in place. So that's the setup you're going to want to have. So if you need to pause the video and go get some stuff to create this setup, go right ahead. Otherwise, we're going to start seated before we get into our therapeutic pose to work with our shoulders. So just go ahead, and I'm sitting on a blanket here in order to keep my hips elevated and my spine long. So feel free to do that as well. And just take a moment to get settled in your seat. Take a couple of nice deep breaths in and out. I like to sigh out or sound out on my exhales. That sounding helps to initiate that rest and digest response, tapping into the parasympathetic nervous system. And so much about our practice today will also be not only about physically unslouching the shoulders and working with the neurofascial system of the body to do that, but it will also be about working with the nervous system to create calm and soothing and some healing. And when we're in that space, that's when other parts of the body, other systems of the body are more likely to respond. So as we take maybe one more nice big breath In and out. Let's begin with just some gentle movement through the shoulders, just to kind of check in and see what kind of movement we have. And we're going to make this really slow, conscious movement. So inhaling, let's just try to squeeze the shoulder blades a little bit. Take the shoulders back slightly, and then exhaling, move them forward. Squeeze the collarbones to move the shoulders forward. And again, you're going to continue doing this with your breath, nice smooth breaths, and try to do this slowly as you can, so you can feel the nuances of this movement, and you can really get a sense of where your resistance is in the shoulders as you do this. Because we can certainly go fast and blow past our resistance and force our way to do a bigger movement. But what we want to get a feel for is where are the edges of our movement. So I'm just kind of noticing how far my shoulders can kind of go back and forth before I hit those edges. And that gives me a sense of where my restrictions may be, where my holding patterns may be. We'll do it a couple more times here. Good. And then just a couple rolls. And again, the same type of thing. Nice, slow, conscious movement, rolling the shoulders, not forcing them, but just noticing the edges of this movement. And the next time you come down, let's go the opposite way. And it also kind of warms up the shoulder joints. Good. So the next time you come down, we'll just kind of shake out those arms and shoulders a little. And now we'll get ourselves into our therapeutic pose. So if you were sitting on something, maybe move that aside. And what we will do in terms of supporting the body is, if you feel for your scapulae, those triangular bones in the upper back, we want the bottom edge of the bolster that we have here, the towel setup, to be right in between. So I'm going to take that bottom edge and bring that right in between the bottom corners of my scapulae here. So if you're a lady, you could think about where your bra strap kind of lands, and you can kind of plan on bringing it right about there. So just feeling for that, and then easing the back onto the setup. And then based on where that is, you can adjust your other towel to be right at the base of the skull. So we want to get a little bit of traction there at the base of the skull. Now, be sure that you don't have it on your neck, and that's not causing your head to tilt back. We want the forehead to be a little bit higher than the chin. So we want that roll to be right at the base of the skull, and it elevates the head to be higher than the chin. So once you have that set up there, lift those hips, maybe shake them out a little, and get a nice opening there at the sacrum, soften the lower back. And so we have that space between the lower back and the edge of our support there. And this is what we're going to work with. We're going to work with settling this part of our spine, as well as opening up through the shoulders. And then bring those knees to touch into a constructive rest. Feet go wide, knees come to touch. And you might notice that that opens up the sacral region, creating a little more flattening there around the sacrum. So once you've gotten set up here, bring those hands to those lower ribs and just rest your hands there, rest your elbows into the floor. Take again a few nice, big, full, smooth breaths in and out. Again, your choice if you'd like to sigh or sound out on the exhale. I tend to enjoy that. I can really feel how that sounding helps bring some soothing and kind of down regulates my nervous system. So feel free to explore the sounding. And just notice how with each exhalation, how you might feel the body getting heavier. And in fact, that's what we want to work with. Set that intention that with each exhalation, feel your feet sinking into the mat. Feel your sacral region, your lower back, sinking into the mat, right at the hips there. Feel your hands gently sinking into the lower ribs. And allow those lower ribs to also descend. Imagine the lower ribs settling toward the floor, even though they won't actually reach the floor. Feel your elbows and your arms also settling downward. And this is where we tend to, you might notice this, we tend to round and roll forward with our shoulders because they're so used to rolling forward and activating through all our activities where we come into this shoulder slouching problem. And so the idea is to really let those elbows, those arms, and those shoulders descend and feel the weight of your arms and shoulders sinking downward. So as you take those nice, big, full, smooth breaths, slow, full breath in and a slow, full breath out, especially on that exhale, just let those shoulders settle downward. Feel your shoulder blades kind of rounding around the bolster or the blanket there. Settling around, opening up. And the head finally gets weighty, settling into the support underneath. Really letting the body weight just sink, as if we're anchoring downward into whatever supports us underneath. 2 more nice big breaths here. Beautiful. With that next breath, let's begin to gently take those arms up, reach up, lengthening right above your chest. Brighten those fingers, just kind of gently stretch them. And we're going to begin a little movement here, reaching up with one arm on the inhale. Take a full breath, inhale and exhale here. And then with the next inhale, the other side. Again, full breath. And we're going to do that a few more times, taking a full breath. So not descending on the exhale, but taking that full breath through the reach and then initiating the alternate reach on the next inhale. And as you exhale with your one arm raised, allow the body to descend. So feel your shoulders getting heavy, even though one arm is raised. Continually trying to release and settle the body, the shoulders especially. The shoulders, the hips, the spine, letting all of that settle down into the support or toward the floor. And once you've done this next set, take those arms straight up again, reach up gently, and then exhaling, cross them and give yourself a hug. And just let the weight of the arms sink once again now into your chest and feel that kind of gentle pressure against your spine, against your back. As you breathe those big breaths, you can feel that weightiness of the body against the support. And then inhaling again, reach up. Exhaling, cross the other direction and give yourself a hug. And again, just let the weight of the arms sink. So we're not actively reaching, we're not stretching actively, we're simply letting the weight of the arms sink into the chest. And that causes the back to settle further into the support. Of course, we may feel some stretching in the outer shoulders here and the upper back. On that next in-breath, once again, reach it up once again. And then exhaling, gently lower those arms again, bringing those hands back to the lower ribs. Let those arms settle. Feel the weight of the arms sinking as you breathe out. Shoulders releasing downward, descending. Shoulder blades hugging your support once again as you just let go of all activity through the arms. Relaxing the lower ribs, feeling the lower ribs sink toward the floor. And then taking the knees apart now, bring those feet in line with your hips, with your sit bones. Maybe just a few gentle rocking movements side to side to wake up the hips a little. And then let's take those knees over to the right. So dropping the knees to the right, and you may even shift your hips slightly to make that more comfortable. And if you feel like you need a little support, you could take a blanket or a cushion or pillow or something, a block, put it in between your knees, or bring something under that lower leg if you need support there. So definitely support the lower body as you might need to if you feel any kind of pulling at the sacrum or in your lower back. Bring supports there. Otherwise, we're just going to relax those legs over to the side in this twist. Take a moment to let the weight of the legs sink, again, to settle either into the supports if you have them there or just toward that right side. So we're going to keep the right hand there, relaxing on our lower ribs of the right side, but we're going to take that left arm straight out to the left side. And just once again, notice that left shoulder. Take a couple deep breaths and make a gentle effort to actually release that shoulder downward. Just let it go. Often the tendency when we take the arm out or engage the arm is for the shoulder to roll up. So notice if that might be happening. And if it is, make that gentle effort to let it roll down, sink downward, settle downward. And then we're going to raise the arm maybe a little higher to make a half T. And if you look, your line of sight will be above your hand. Your hand will be right below that line of sight. And once again, letting the shoulder stay settled downward. Make that active or gentle engagement to press the left shoulder downward. Again, not with your hand, but just consciously bringing that shoulder downward, intentionally pressing that left shoulder downward. And once you anchor it there, then engage the left arm and stretch through your arm and your fingers. Make those fingers bright, stretch out that hand. So again, the reason I keep focusing on that shoulder settling downward or anchoring it down is because when we, again, often engage the arm, sometimes there's that tendency for the shoulder to roll forward. And that again comes from this pattern of slouching those shoulders forward from a lot of our daily activities, especially nowadays. Some of us are on the computer a lot more. So anchoring that shoulder down, then activating the arm, lengthening it away, and breathing. As you do that, make sure again that you're keeping your legs released downward. Feeling that nice, gentle, active stretch through that left arm. Right arm is relaxed, shoulders again descending. Breathing here. 2 more breaths with that active reach, active stretch through that left arm. And then exhaling, let it go. Completely releasing. And we're going to do that again. So nice inhale. We're going to reach the arm, keep that shoulder gently engaged downward, anchoring it, letting it get weighty. And then turn your head to the right to add a little additional stretch, now maybe into the neck. So turning the head to the right, just gently roll it over to the right. It might even feel like it's kind of rolling slightly off your support there. Not forcing it. Breathing into that. And then exhaling, relax the arm and bring the head back to center. So we're going to add to that movement. We're going to take an inhale, activate the arm, roll the head to the right, and then curl the fingers up to the ceiling, and then exhale, bring it down. And we're going to do that a few more times. So activate the arm, stretch, turn the head, fingers up, and then exhale. So we're going to do this nice full breaths 2 more times. And then pause and relax, let the arms sink and settle once again. We're going to do a similar movement, but this time when we activate, we're going to turn the hands down, or the fingers downward, I should say, into the floor a little bit as we turn the head to the right. Feel that stretch, nice full breath, and then relax back down, head comes back to center. And then again, 2 more times. Make the breath full and slow on the inhale and the exhale. Maybe we'll do one more with that one. I really feel like that one really is getting into my arm, into that neck as well. And then once you feel complete, do as many as you want. Once you feel complete, sometimes some of these feel better to do more. Sometimes they feel better to do less. So if that's the case, just kind of honor your body. And then when that feels complete, just rest once again, letting that arm settle. And just feel what you feel through that left arm, left shoulder, everything anchoring downward, releasing all engagement. Then we're going to do one more thing with this arm, and that's gently slide it up higher and make it a slow movement so you can really feel where that next place of resistance is. Take it as far as you can, but only go to that next place of resistance. And then wherever that is for you, just stop. Don't force past that. Hold it and breathe. And gently reach now. Reach, make it that active, gentle reach through that arm. And then also make an active reach through that top left leg. So reaching through the knee, reaching through the hip. So actually more than the knee, imagine that your left hip is pulling forward or reaching forward, and that's going to automatically cause your knee to descend. Now be mindful of your knee if you have any knee issues. So only pull forward through the hip to the extent that the knee feels comfortable. Right side is completely relaxed. So we're active through the left, reaching through that left arm a little bit higher than that T shape, and reaching through the hip. So pulling in opposite directions with the left side. Breathe. Turn that head to the right again if that feels good, and take 3 nice big full breaths here. Really settled into the right side of your body, anchored into the right side of the body as you gently but actively reach through the left in this twisting motion, twisting shape. One more big breath, maybe sigh out, sound out on that exhale. And then slowly release back, and then ease the knees up as well. Bring those knees to touch. Bring that left hand onto the lower ribs. Gently readjust if you need to, and then just settle. Settle both sides of the body. Your hands sink into your lower ribs. Sacrum sinks into the floor. Shoulders sink. Arms get heavy. Head gets heavy. And just notice what you feel. Perhaps you've noticed a difference between your left side and your right side. Feel your breath flowing. Feel the energy of your hands at your lower ribs, creating that sense of soothing, nurturing, healing to the body. And then, of course, we're going to do the same on the other side. So now we're going to keep our left side relaxed. We're going to take those knees apart and then take them over to the left side into our twist. Once again, use whatever support you need, either between the legs or maybe under that left leg, depending on what this right side of the body needs, the right hip. And then taking that right arm out to the side. Take a couple breaths, let it go, let the arm be heavy, let the shoulder be descending. And then slowly take it up to be into that half T shape. You can even look to make sure that your hand is below your line of sight. And once it's there, let's do the same sequence again. So we start off by anchoring, or kind of making that gentle effort to anchor the right shoulder downward, and then activate the arm to stretch. Brighten those fingers, stretch the hand. Keep the left side of the body relaxed. Notice if you start activating through the left. And with this active right arm, take 3 full breaths. Keep the active arm engaged as you take those 3 full breaths. Nice, smooth, slow, full breaths. One thing I notice is when I take my inhale, that full inhale, sometimes this other shoulder wants to roll up. And so I have to be mindful of that and just remind that other side, that left side, which is neutral right now, to stay neutral and to not engage. You might be noticing that too, perhaps, After that third breath, relax the extended right arm. Let it go. Beautiful. So we're going to add to that. We're going to activate that arm, reach, stretch through that right arm, keep that right shoulder descended, but also now turn the head to the left side, creating a little more stretch through that right side of the neck. Breathe a couple of big breaths here. Now, if for some reason, I didn't mention it on the other side, but if it doesn't feel comfortable to have that left hand resting there, you could always have the left arm just relaxed on the floor at your left side. I'm actually noticing that with this arm. I didn't notice it with the other arm, but you may be noticing that as well. So that's why I'm bringing awareness to it. But you may also be more comfortable just keeping it there as well. So see what works for you. This is the beauty of yoga. You adapt the practice to your body. And then relax the head back to center. Relax that engaged right arm. Just take a pause here and notice what you're feeling. And then we're going to add to that again. So activating the arm. This time we curl the fingers to the ceiling as we turn the head to that left side. Take a big breath in and out. And then we come back to center. We relax the arm and the hand. Inhaling, activate, curl the fingers up, turn that head. Exhale. And then again, one more time. Big full inhale and exhale. And then we do it the other way. So we curl the fingers down onto the floor as we reach and activate the arm, turning the head. And then back to neutral, relax the arm and the head. 2 or 3 more times with this. Feeling that nice stretch. You might really feel it, the tingly. You might even feel a little discomfort. Again, don't force it. Only go to the extent that it feels okay to you. Little discomfort's okay, but no pain. No aggressiveness. I'm going to do it one more time. Do it until you feel complete. Maybe even hold it for an extra breath or 2 in the stretch. And then when it feels complete, just come back to center. Relax that arm, head to center, let it go. And then we're going to do one more movement where we're going to very mindfully, consciously slide that right arm a little bit higher, really paying attention to that next place of resistance. For some of us, it may not be much. For some of us, we may be able to go way up. So again, see where that next place of resistance is for you. And it might be different from the other side. So of course, notice that. It doesn't have to be symmetrical necessarily. And then wherever that is, hold it there and then actively reach. Make that arm active, brighten those hands again. Shoulder anchors down though. So notice that right shoulder is trying to curl up. And then we reach to the left with the hip. So the right hip is pulling toward the left while my right shoulder is reaching to the right. So in opposite directions. And then if it feels okay, turn that head over to the left as well. Same direction as the knee, head and hip reach to the left while the arm reaches to the right. Take 3 full breaths here. Relaxing both shoulders downward as we reach. Nice full breath in, nice full breath out. Let it go. One more. And as we finish that one, we ease back to neutral. Relax the arm. We bring the knees back up. Bring that hand down, arm down. Recenter the hips, hands back on the lower ribs, knees touch once again, feet go wide. Settle, sink the body downward. Feel your feet sink, your hips, your hands into the ribs, your lower ribs toward the floor, your shoulders, your head. Take 2 nice full breaths here and just notice once again any sensations. Notice your energy. Notice your breath. Beautiful. On the in-breath, reach those arms up again. Exhale, hug. Give yourself that hug. Let the arms get heavy. Maybe even just do a gentle rocking here with the heavy arms as you take a breath or two. On that next inhale, reach it up, cross the other way. Heavy arms, let them sink into the chest. Maybe you do a little rocking if that feels good here. Then releasing the knees, gently turn to one side to roll off your bolster, roll off your supports. Maybe even pause there for a moment if that feels good to you. And then when you feel ready, press into the floor. Keep the head relaxed as you ease your way up. Come into that seat once again. Find your seat. Grab a support if you need to sit on. Just take a moment in your seat, settling the lower body, lifting the spine, keeping the shoulders and arms relaxed, just to notice how it feels now in this vertical position. Perhaps you notice a little difference in the upper back, in the shoulder region. And let's do once again that movement we started with. So just a mindful, conscious squeezing of the shoulder blades back, and then squeezing of the collarbones forward. And just doing that again, slowly, deliberately. That's what we call conscious movement. Slow and deliberate. And maybe you notice a little difference, hopefully, in those shoulders in this movement. And then a few times, let's just roll those shoulders in one direction and then in the other direction. And then settle back down. And so hopefully you feel a little more spaciousness, some more opening in the shoulders so that you feel like you've unslouched them from here to here, opening them up. So this could be the end of your practice for today, or if you'd like, go ahead and click on the link that shows up at the end of this video and continue with some more practice that'll just go right into another series.